You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan. I'm broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. The theme today on our bumper music, 70s theme songs from movies. This one's Shaft, right?
No hesitation on that one.
No hesitation on this one.
Nicely done.
That's right. You bet. And like I said, we are also brought to you by the great folks at American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency, and Extreme Exteriors. Before we get back into our conversation with Realtor Tim Thornton from Austin, Texas, about his blog that he wrote that it's maybe time to fire your HOA management company, I'd like to let our listeners know we've got a free gift for you. We put together a bi-monthly newsletter called What's New. A lot of what we talk about on the show, we talk in further detail in that newsletter. People that are guests on the show are also contributors from time to time. It's yours free for the asking. Give us a call at 952-922-2500. Ask for Lori. She'll make sure that you start receiving your subscription either electronically or by mail. Now, Tim, thanks for hanging over into this next segment here. And I said as we were ending that first segment that you had probably one or two stories about HOA management companies that brought you to this conclusion that you find them to be unresponsive, arrogant, and complacent. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you've experienced?
I see that some of the complaints that I hear from clients, and I hear this on an ongoing basis, probably every week, that management companies don't answer the phone. They are reluctant to return calls if they do. Emails, when they get answered, are often, the answer to the question is often, I don't know. I've had clients that the associations were withholding budgets from homeowners, would not tell them what the budgets were, what the reserves were, wouldn't give them information about the financial condition of the homeowners association. Obviously, we get lots and lots of complaints about transfer fees. I don't know if that's something you see in Minnesota, but we have transfer fees that start at $250 and sometimes go up from there on just transferring ownership from buyer to seller, from seller to buyer. So I hear a lot of, I've got a client right now that is trying to buy an investment property in condos, looking at some condos, and she wants to know whether or not she can rent it out because there's some condo association deed restrictions here that do actually prevent or limit rentals inside of their association. But guess what? You got to pay $250 to actually buy the deed restrictions to find out whether or not you want to make an offer on the house. And so there is a long list of customer complaints, buyer complaints, and buyer issues with homeowners associations that I do deal with every single day.
All right. Let me let's deal with some of those here. You mentioned one thing here. You said that you were at a annual meeting, and you thought it was just very arrogant for the management company to stand up, and they shared with a homeowner telling a homeowner what they could and could not do in their HOA, and you found that offensive.
In the meeting, yeah. So quite a few years ago, actually, in one of my own homeowners association annual meetings, I had the lady from the management company at that time, who was soon after their company was let go. Homeowners started asking some questions about some things in the annual meeting that were of concern and issue to them. And the representative from the management company stood up and said, this is really not the time or place to address these issues. We're really not going to be taking questions.
Okay.
If we are, we're going to limit those questions. This is a 1-hour meeting. And so it became very clear and obvious that the agenda for the homeowners in showing up in their annual meeting and the agenda for the management representative were on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Well, let me ask you this, because as a realtor and real estate professional. You've probably gone to city council meetings as well.
I have.
When a person, when you attend a city council meeting, and the city council is beginning to deal with some of the issues that are on the agenda, if you were to stand up and say, hey, I'd like to start participating in this conversation, a lot of times I think you're going to find the city council that's going to say, you know what, if you wish to participate, you can call ahead of time, get on the agenda, because we need to continue with the operations and the management and the running of the city. You just can't let anybody stand up at any meeting and just participate and just throw things off. They can take time to be asked to be put on the agenda, and when they do, they will have time to speak. You do that at the state legislature. Sure. I don't know why that would be something that would be arrogant if the association board said, we've got an agenda and some things that we need to talk about here at our board meeting. You want to go off on something that we're not prepared to talk about right now.
Well, so since you used the example of a city council, let's talk about what the agenda is. So this is not the weekly or monthly or bi-monthly meeting of the city council that we're talking about. But city councils actually do have open forum meetings and town hall meetings, which are very analogous to the annual meeting for a homeowners association. These aren't the monthly meetings or weekly meetings or however often the board needs to actually meet with the management company. The annual meeting is a very specific meeting to actually bring the community in to talk about where are we, what do the finances look like, what's going on in the community, and open up that floor to those people once a year. This is their meeting. This is not the weekly, monthly, bi-monthly business meeting of the board of directors or the management company. And so I think there is a clash of agenda, and I think your example is a good one, but it's not that weekly city council meeting. And by the way, I was in a city council meeting in Cedar Park here as part of Greater Austin 2.5 weeks ago that had a very specific purpose. There was a very specific agenda, and at the end of every report and at the end of everything that happened, they opened the floor to anybody that wanted to be able to make a comment to come up and identify themselves and make a comment.
Okay. And again, there could be so many other things, too. Another thing that comes to my mind that to me seems, I guess, not out of the ordinary, too, and that is that, there are certain state statutes that an association must that hold themselves to, and one of those things is in an annual meeting, sometimes people want to discuss and vote something for some course of action. And if I know the state statute here in Minnesota makes it very clear that if you didn't take the time to identify something that was going to be voted on with the homeowners prior to holding that meeting, you cannot hold a meeting to discuss and to vote on something because you didn't give the other people in that private corporation the opportunity to know what that topic was going to be and that there was going to be a decision that was going to be made. And so, I mean, there are other extenuating circumstances that take place from time to time as well.
Yeah, I don't think that was what we're up against in that particular meeting, Gene.
Okay. Well, you are saying that you just with what you have here, you feel that the best thing to do is to not have necessarily a good long rapport with the management company as a service provider, and that you should just fire them regularly and just get someone else so that they know their place and know that what they are.
I don't think I used any of that derogatory language. I
think you
did,
though.
Some of the largest corporations in the United States. I was a director in one of the largest 3 tech firms in the world, managed a very large portfolio for about 15 years in that corporation. I'll tell you, that company, as well as a lot of other corporations and large corporations, have a standard practice every year, and that is to clean the bottom 10% of their house and to let the bottom 10% of their performers go every year. And so part of that practice and part of the what you're seeing in that particular article is actually a very common practice in corporate America, is that if there are parts of your organization that are not performing as expected, or not performing as they once did, or not performing as promised, then cleaning house, I think, is a very viable and good way to do that. I'm not sure that most organizations, especially when they feel as though the management company is actually the employer, not the employee, that they are actually the ones that are calling the shots and telling homeowners what they cannot do, and how they are to run their organization.
Yeah. We need to take a quick break. Don't go away. We'll be back after these messages.